A man thought he had rescued a puppy, but upon taking it to the vet, he was stunned by the truth. Using his jacket as a makeshift umbrella, Luke hurried from his car toward his front door when a faint whimper made him stop in his tracks. Despite the relentless rain, curiosity urged him to investigate. He followed the sound, his sneakers squishing through the wet grass near the edge of his property. There, hidden among the bushes, he spotted a tiny, trembling figure. The creature lay, curled beneath a rhododendron, drenched and shivering uncontrollably. Luke approached cautiously, noting its matted, mud-streaked fur and the small, frightened eyes staring back at him. Assuming it was a stray puppy, his heart softened at the sight. Speaking in a gentle voice, he murmured soothing words, coaxing it closer. The little creature, driven by need, hesitantly inched toward his outstretched hand. Carefully, he scooped it up, wrapped it in his jacket, and hurried inside. The house was warm, filled with the earthy scent of rain-soaked wood and the mellow hum of jazz, a soundtrack Luke always left playing for his plants. He set the creature down on a soft towel near the fireplace, rubbing it dry while taking a closer look. That's when he noticed something strange. The ears were longer than expected, and the fur's markings didn't quite match any dog breed he knew. His intrigue deepened as he prepared some warm milk and shredded chicken, which the creature devoured eagerly. The more he observed, the less certain he became that it was just an ordinary puppy. Its sharp, watchful eyes and unsettling silence felt unlike the usual playful energy of a young dog. Settling beside the fire, Luke watched as it curled into a tight ball and fell asleep. Thoughts raced through his mind. Where had it come from? Why was it alone? He resolved to take it to the vet the next day to check for a microchip, hoping to reunite it with an owner if it was lost. But for now, he would offer warmth and shelter to this mysterious little guest, whose sudden arrival felt as unpredictable as the storm itself. By the next morning, the sky had cleared, a stark contrast to the chaos of the night before. It was Saturday, and Luke followed his usual weekend routine, a brisk hike through the Blue Ridge Mountains, the crisp air invigorating his spirit. Afterward came a hearty breakfast, a simple ritual that grounded him. But today, there was an extra task, preparing his new companion for a visit to the vet. Trying to ease the tension, Luke introduced a plush toy and playful banter, but the creature, whom he had started calling Storm, remained oddly detached. Its gaze drifted toward the window, fixated on the outside world. Luke couldn't shake a growing sense of unease. Why wasn't Storm behaving like a typical puppy? He brushed off the worry, chalking it up to the creature's uncertain past and recent upheaval. Clipping on a makeshift leash, he carried Storm to his car and set off for the local veterinary clinic, hoping Dr. Sophia Ellis could shed some light on the situation. But upon arrival, the receptionist greeted them with an apologetic smile. Dr. Sophia was out due to a family emergency. Only routine vaccinations and flea treatments were available, neither of which seemed relevant to Luke's peculiar case. Instead, he was told that Dr. Peterson would be filling in the following week. On the drive home, Luke couldn't stop thinking about the disrupted plans and the unsettling behavior of his new companion. Strangely, Storm appeared relieved to be heading back, resting calmly in the back seat. Occasionally, their eyes met in the rearview mirror, and the creature's gaze carried an uncanny, unreadable intensity. As the days passed, what had first seemed like minor quirks became an undeniable list of oddities. Luke officially named it Storm, a fitting choice given its quiet vigilance. Each morning as he brewed his coffee, Storm would pace the length of the living room in precise measured steps, ignoring the squeaky toys and chew bones Luke had bought on the way back from the vet. Instead, its focus remained fixed on the outside world, its gaze sharp and unyielding. But the nights were even more unsettling. Storm would station itself at the foot of Luke's bed, ears perked, staring into the darkened corners of the room. Then, in the stillness of the night, a series of low, mournful howls would rise from its throat, not the playful yips of a puppy, nor the barking of a domestic dog, but deep, guttural sounds that sent a shiver down Luke's spine. Growing increasingly intrigued and uneasy, he turned to his blog, a modest space originally dedicated to coding projects and weekend hiking adventures. As a 30-year-old software developer, Luke had never expected his latest post to gain so much attention. Titled, "Is My Puppy Not a Puppy?" it immediately sparked a flood of responses from his followers. Theories poured in, ranging from lighthearted speculation to genuine concern. Some readers suggested Storm might be a rare breed or a wolf-dog hybrid, while others entertained wilder possibilities, that Luke had stumbled upon a creature rarely seen in the North Carolina suburbs. As local animal enthusiasts and experts chimed in, the conversation grew. A few noted Storm's heightened awareness and nocturnal vocalizations as signs of wild ancestry. Others took a more imaginative approach, hinting at something even stranger. Fascinated, Luke's curiosity turned into determination. His posts became more frequent, each detail meticulously recorded. Storm's aversion to typical dog behaviors, its piercing gaze, its eerie vocalizations, every anomaly was carefully documented. The deeper Luke dug, the clearer it became. Whatever Storm was, it wasn't what he had first believed. Storm's intense focus on its surroundings quickly became a hot topic among Luke's growing audience. His once quiet blog had transformed into a hub of speculation and debate. As the weekend faded into a new week, the mystery surrounding Storm's true nature only deepened, pushing Luke toward the next logical step, seeking professional insight. After days of relentless online theories and his own mounting unease, he knew it was time for another visit to the vet. With a mixture of excitement and apprehension, he scheduled an appointment with Dr. Peterson, hoping for definitive answers. Little did he know, this visit would completely upend his quiet suburban life and thrust him into an unexpected journey. When they arrived, the clinic was bustling with the usual chaos of pet emergencies: a limping Labrador, a hissing cat in its carrier, and anxious owners pacing the waiting room. Luke felt the tension coil tighter in his chest. He adjusted his grip on Storm's leash and stepped inside, immediately sensing the weight of curious stares. Storm's presence did not go unnoticed. A woman near the receptionist's desk murmured something urgently to her companion, subtly gesturing in their direction. Her wide eyes held a mixture of curiosity and concern. Beside her, a stocky man with a golden retriever stole a glance at Storm, before quickly looking away when Luke caught him staring. As the wait dragged on, hushed whispers filled the room, each one amplifying Luke's lingering doubts. Was Storm just an unusual breed, or was there something more? Every quiet conversation seemed to echo his own unanswered questions. Finally, their number was called. As Luke stood, Storm tensed, its body going rigid. He patted it gently, offering reassurance, but just as they neared the examination room door, instinct overrode comfort. With a sudden powerful jerk, Storm wrenched free and bolted. Chaos erupted. The Labrador barked wildly. The cat shrieked and startled children squealed as Storm weaved through legs and dodged chairs, a blur of fur and panic. Luke's heart pounded. As he chased after Storm, his voice lost in the commotion. The vet's assistant, a quick-footed young man named Jake, sprinted after them. The chase ended in a storage room cluttered with pet supplies, where Jake managed to corner Storm. Panting heavily, Luke and Jake cautiously approached, finally securing the frantic creature. Storm's wild, darting eyes and labored breaths spoke of sheer terror. As they returned to the examination room, Luke mumbled apologies to the other pet owners, his face flushed with embarrassment and concern. Inside, Dr. Peterson stood waiting, his expression composed but amused. "Quite the spirited one, isn't it?" he remarked as he softly shut the door behind them. The room settled into quiet, save for Storm's unsteady breathing. Now firmly restrained by Jake, Storm's gaze flickered nervously between Luke and the vet. Luke met Dr. Peterson's experienced eyes, his own filled with questions, desperate for answers. As the vet changed gloves, Luke's mind raced with possibilities. Could this finally be the moment of truth? Dr. Peterson, a seasoned veterinarian, with decades of experience, approached Storm with professional curiosity and a hint of caution. He started by palpating the creature's abdomen, his hands moving deftly yet gently over its frame. Storm, surprisingly compliant, remained still, its sharp eyes scanning the room as though absorbing every detail. From time to time, curious faces appeared at the waiting room window, drawn by the earlier chaos. When Dr. Peterson pried open Storm's mouth to check its teeth, his brow furrowed. Something was off. These weren't the teeth of a domestic dog. They were sharper, more pronounced, designed for tearing, for survival. The realization set in, slowly, his professional curiosity shifting into something closer to unease. He took a step back, eyes widening as the full weight of his observations sank in. Dr. Peterson's demeanor changed. His questions, at first routine, grew more pointed as he glanced at his notes. "What do you call the animal?" he asked, voice steady but probing. "Where did you find him? How long have you had him? Is this the first time he's been examined?" "By a vet," Luke answered, explaining how he had found Storm after the storm, assuming it was a lost puppy. With each response, Dr. Peterson's eyebrows inched higher, his movements growing quicker, the room thickening with an unspoken urgency. Then, after a rapid-fire series of inquiries, he turned to Jake, exhaled sharply, and delivered the bombshell. "Luke," he said, his voice serious, "this isn't a puppy." The weight of the words settled heavily between them. "You've brought in a baby hyena." Dr. Peterson, sensing Luke's shock, quickly softened his tone. "I know this is unexpected," he continued, his voice measured. "But you've been caring for a young spotted hyena. It's incredibly rare to find one here, and we need to proceed carefully." Luke struggled to process the revelation. It seemed impossible. Storm's malnourished state had masked many of its true features, and its fur pattern bore an uncanny resemblance to a small dog's, almost like a chihuahua, if slightly off. A deceptive trait that had hidden its true identity. Dr. Peterson went on to explain the implications. Hyenas weren't just unusual pets, they were wild animals, predators with instincts that couldn't be easily domesticated. Keeping one in a suburban home was neither safe nor sustainable. They required specialized care and environment tailored to their natural behaviors. There was no question. Storm couldn't stay with Luke. The atmosphere in the room shifted as Dr. Peterson made urgent arrangements. He spoke in hushed tones to Jake, instructing him to prepare a secure but comfortable enclosure. "Make sure it's spacious," he added, ensuring the measures were precautionary but humane. Luke, watching these preparations unfold, felt a pang of resistance. Storm had never shown aggression. He had taken it in, fed it, sheltered it. The idea of locking it away felt wrong. Sensing Luke's unease, Dr. Peterson placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "I understand your concerns, Luke," Dr. Peterson said reassuringly. "But this isn't about punishment. Hyenas are wild animals, and while Storm hasn't shown aggression, we need to prioritize both safety and his well-being." He gestured toward the cage, its spacious design meant to keep Storm calm while ensuring the safety of the clinic staff and other animals. "This is just a precaution," he continued. "Hyenas, even as juveniles, can be unpredictable, especially in high-stress or unfamiliar environments like a veterinary clinic." Luke exhaled slowly, absorbing the weight of the revelation. Seeing Dr. Peterson's calm, methodical approach steadied his initial shock. This wasn't a rash decision. It was a necessary one. He watched as Jake carefully transported Storm in the prepared enclosure, moving him to a quieter room away from the commotion. Storm's sorrowful eyes peered at Luke through the bars, and guilt twisted in his chest. He had taken Storm in, cared for him, and now, in doing what was best, he felt as though he were betraying him. Alone with Storm in the dimly lit isolation room, Luke sat in silence, lost in thought. The past week had been a whirlwind of mystery, excitement, and attachment, but deep down, he had always sensed something different about Storm, something beyond just being an unusual dog. From the moment he found him, their bond had been more than that of an owner and pet. It was something deeper, something unspoken. As they waited for the wildlife experts to arrive, Storm seemed to sense Luke's emotions. Slowly, he shifted closer to the side of the cage where Luke sat. Luke hesitated before reaching out, his fingers brushing against the cool metal bars. Storm, hesitant but trusting, responded with a soft lick on his finger, then nudged his head against Luke's hand. A silent gesture of gratitude. A lump formed in Luke's throat. This moment, fleeting yet profound, encapsulated everything. The trust, the bond, the quiet understanding between them. Despite Storm's wild nature, despite the inevitable separation, they had shared something real. As Storm finally settled, appearing less frightened and more at peace, Luke felt a sense of quiet resolve. He was making the right decision. Letting Storm go wasn't abandonment. It was ensuring that he lived the life he was meant to. In saying goodbye, Luke had learned something invaluable. True care sometimes meant letting go. And in doing so, he had played a small but important part in helping a wild creature find its rightful place. Would you have let Storm go, like Luke did? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to like and subscribe for more. Thank you for listening and see you in the next video. Have a great day.